I'm going to do a little shop update here. There's going to be some things on the shop. The last time that I told you in a shop update that I was probably getting some new stuff into the shop, some new tools, equipment. I kind of expected that today and was going to include it in the shop update, but we had a storm last night, so I doubt if the guy is going to be able to show up today. So what I'm going to do is just throw some footage of my road trip in, and there will be some other items that will be included into the shop update also. Okay, so here we go. So in length, in the last shop update video, I described in detail about the haul that I probably had to make for a guy in Michigan, and then there was going to be a back haul. Well, that 57 57 Ford that I kind of showed you in the video that Tom was supposed to get, he didn't get. They sold it out from underneath them. So I still had that back haul out of Ohio for the guy here. Ironically, the guy with the forklift truck, or that lift that I took to Long Island, calls me up and says, I've got a pump skid that I need you to take down to Virginia for me. So that kind of panned out. And then there was something that I had purchased from somebody, knowing that I was going down to Virginia, that I had purchased for the Ford truck. So what I'm going to do is show you the pump skid, or I was told it was a pump skid. I'm going to show you what it is, and this is going to be a trip down to Virginia. Okay, here is that pump skid. It was on a cart. I was told it was on a skid, but it was on a cart. I picked it up in West Seneca, brought her over here to the shop, and just unloaded it because I've got to pull my trailer out to get this onto the trailer. I didn't film any of it when I was over there. I ended up having, this thing was buried way in the back and underneath some bins. I ended up having to move a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't have a camera with a tripod with me. All I had was a handheld camera. So again, I ended up having to move barrels and tractors and lawnmowers, one of them zero-turn lawnmowers. But anyways, I got it out, got it onto my truck, and then kind of put everything back the way it was. So here it is. I'm going to be loading that on my trailer. Okay, so the thing that I have to pick up for the truck is in North Carolina. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to some footage here of me coming down Fancy Gap. This is going from West Virginia towards Virginia. So this is some footage of me coming down Fancy Gap. Then I dropped the pump skid off. I then traveled on farther. When you come down from that mountain in Fancy Gap, there's a peculiar mountain that you see off in the distance, and it's got like a let me just bluntly describe it. It kind of looks like a nipple on top of the mountain, but I'm going to shoot you some footage of that. And then what I'm going to do is when I go to pick stuff up, I'll kind of look at on our map and see where it is. But you know, I don't really pay a lot of attention to it. Just plug it into a truck GPS and kind of go with it. So I kind of looked at this place in North Carolina that I had to pick up this part, and I didn't really kind of realize where it was. So you're going to see some of that. You know, I looked at it, but I didn't really look at it. So you're going to see some of that too. So here we go with some footage of that. Not sure how well this is going to come out. Coming down out of Fancy Gap on 77 again. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with details. I dropped the pump skid off to the guy. I didn't film any of it. It was kind of chaotic thing. Some of his employees didn't really know that I was going to show up, and it was kind of chaotic. So I dropped it off, and then you're going to see some more footage of the trip and my realization of where I ended up going in North Carolina. We're on 74 East now, off of 77. That said, I don't know whether you saw it in the video when I was coming down Fancy Gap, but there's that one mountain with that little knob on top of it. Well, that's it right up there. Guess it's called Pilot Mountain. Or at least I keep seeing signs for Pilot Mountain. I think I'm at Myrtle Beach. Didn't realize that I was going to be this close to the ocean. So you're probably getting sick of me sticking these little inserts in here. But what I'm going to do is show you now. I picked up the part. Again, I didn't film any of me picking it up. And I came back and got back to West Virginia that day. I stayed at Beckley, West Virginia, and then I continued on Route 77 early in the morning, so it was dark. And the road from Beckley, between Beckley on 77 Northwest is almost, well, it is worse. I mean, it's curvy, and they reduced the speed limit from 70 down to 55 because of these curves. So I had never traveled that road before because I always get off on Beckley and take 19 north to head back towards home. Over the New River Gorge and up through Summersville, which ironically we do a lot of rock climbing in. But anyways, I had never traveled on that 77 through that section, and it is pretty kind of scary at night because I had never traveled it before. You don't know what's coming, and there are some hairpin sharp turns on this thing, and you're traveling downhill pretty rapidly with a bunch of tractor trailers loaded, and they're going into these hairpin curves, and you're kind of wondering, man, I hope this guy doesn't roll over. But then I'm going to show you this kind of cool road that we took off of 77 up into central Ohio. Real nice road, a pleasant road to travel. So here's that. I'm going to show you this road. It's Route 35, and it runs through Ohio. It actually starts at 77 in West Virginia, comes off of 77 in West Virginia, and then kind of heads northwest through Ohio. But it's kind of one of the coolest roads that I've ever driven on. It's pretty good. It's not torn up like most of the other roads in the Northeast are, with potholes and everything. But what's really cool about it is that some part of it is a two-lane road, but even on the two-lane sections, you know, people are just continually traveling. It's like a traveled road. It's not like there's no small towns on it, or the intersections are big. It's not commercialized. There's like no fast food restaurants at every intersection that you come to. Just goes through some neat farmland, and over towards the West Virginia section of it. Over here, it's kind of flat and open, but just a cool, neat road. I mean, there's some service stations along it. Over the towards the West Virginia section, there's a Love's, and that Love's service center is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's just wide open. There's no commercialized businesses that have sprung up around it. So it's really cool. It's kind of a fun road to drive on, and you're not seeing, you know, that billboards and commercial stuff that you normally see along roads through Pennsylvania, Ohio, that type of thing. You know, all of those like stores that are selling fireworks, or that god-awful gaudy shit that you see along popular routes. Kind of a neat road. A lot of old school farmhouses around here. You know, things that were built back in probably the early 1800s, and whoever laid this road out did a great job of it, keeping the road actually away from those little small town type of thing. You can see them off to the side at an intersection, but it's not like it's right there. And then, you know, the intersections aren't commercialized, like I was saying. It's just kind of neat stuff. Here we come up to one right now, so you'll see that, you know, there is some things, but it's pretty wide open. Probably a lot of Amish too. That looks like an Amish farm right there. But you know, like this intersection, there's no McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever. You know, it's just kind of clean. Fun road to drive. Okay, so I made it to the pickup point for the back haul. And up until the day before I left, I didn't even know what this back haul was. I was doing it for a guy that I know, a friend, and he knows my trailer, my capabilities, so I didn't even ask up until a day before. And then, you know, I asked him because I wanted to know if there was other things that had to be picked up with it, title, paperwork, bill of sale, parts, anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a view of the trailer after I got back to the shop. Again, I didn't film any of it there. It's kind of uncomfortable filming it, and we were kind of busy getting it up on the truck. It didn't, or up on the trailer. It didn't run, so we had to pull it up onto the trailer to get it there, and then load a bunch of parts into it. I'm gonna show you the trailer. And it's kind of ironic. Now think about what I was supposed to have hauled to begin with to the guy in Michigan, and this is kind of ironic. Okay, so as part of the shop update, this is the trailer. I brought it back from Ohio as the end of the trip. So originally I took the pump skid down to Virginia, as you've seen the pump skid, and then I went down to North Carolina, picked up my axle, and then swung over to Ohio and picked up, this is a 57 Ford that a friend of mine bought, and I pulled back for him. No engine, it's just a rolling chassis. Body chassis. There's the inside of it. I'll take you up on the trailer and show you the inside of it. It's just packed with packed with parts. It's got one flat tire on. Actually, the body's in pretty good shape. Body's in pretty good shape. But as you can see, it's packed with parts. Seats are in there. They're just the springs. They've got to be refabricated. The hood in the deck lid is underneath the car. I've got it strapped down underneath the car. Lights. The original radio is over there. Just a whole bunch of stuff in here. Molding parts, trim parts, stuff like that. But I'll bring you back. Okay, so you saw it. It was on the trailer with the car. I picked up a rear axle for the truck. I'm going to explain it in a video. I'll be publishing a video. It's probably going to be coming out Monday. And the haul truck build, but I will explain it in detail when that comes out. What I'm going to show you right now is what less than 24 hours difference it makes in the weather in Buffalo. So you saw the clip of the trailer, you saw the car and axle on the trailer. The axle and car were, the axle was taken off and put in the shop. The car was delivered to the guy, and the trailer put back in its normal spot. So I'm going to show you a clip right now of probably 12 hours later. Okay, in the previous video I kind of showed you the trailer and the car, the axle on the trailer. It was kind of a nice day, 40 degrees, no snow. Snow had all melted. Well, last night dropped down to about 25, and we got between 18 inches and 2 feet of snow. In Hamburg, where I live, the snow is usually governed by lake effect. And off of Lake Erie, until it freezes, it picks up the moisture, storm fronts pick up the moisture and dump snow. Well, the lake is totally frozen because we had that real long cold snap where it was down in the single digits for weeks on end. And that kind of happened across the Northeast, but anyways, the lake is frozen, so we got the snowstorm. And because of the temperature, it wasn't real cold. It was only like 25, and it had been warmer. It's a wet snow, and it's real heavy. It's kind of a bitch to shovel. I ended up spending over 2 hours. I've got a guy that plows my driveway in at home, and I ended up spending over 2 hours because my truck was parked at the end of the driveway, and he had to back pull it. He can't plow it up to my truck, so what he has to do is back drag it from my truck a ways up and then turn around and try and back into my truck and push it out. Well, back dragging in heavy snow doesn't really work. Any of you guys that plow snow know what it's like to try and back drag snow, so the plow just rides up on top of it. So I spent 2.5 hours shoveling out where he tried to back drag in front of my truck this morning. But anyways, welcome to Western New York.